One of the interesting things about working with this president is that, we're coming into these bureaucracies that have constructed these orthodoxies, and it's just a series of very narrow Overton windows.
Absolutely.
You're not allowed to bring the conversation out of that, or you get destroyed.
That's right.
And now we're working for a president who just takes a bulldozer to Overton windows and does, that like shocks us every day, and then we go, okay, well.
That's exactly right. That is a good summary of Donald J. Trump, is that he takes a bulldozer to Overton windows every single day. But it had to happen. It just had to happen. And if you look at so many of the things that are happening on the public health side, I mean, one of the criticisms that Bobby will always get, and I always think it's such bullshit, excuse my language, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. It's probably covering, I apologize to everybody who's watching live on Fox News. Hopefully they were able to bleep that out. But anyway, is sometimes there's this attack where people say, well, this or that conclusion is not supported by the science, or this or that conclusion is a conspiracy theory. And science, as practiced in its best form, is that if you disagree with it, then you ought to criticize it, and you ought to argue it against it, but you can't shut down the debate. And that really is, if you look at all of the big public health debates that we've had in this country over the last 20 or 30 years, it doesn't bother me that they disagreed with something that I believed or disagreed with something you believed or any of you. It's that they tried to silence the people who were saying things that were outside the Overton window. And as we found out the hard way over the last few years, it was very often the people who were outside the Overton window who were actually right, and all the experts were wrong.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Marty McCary the other day, and he reminded me that over the Royal Society, the building, the portal for the Royal Society in London, which is the oldest scientific society in the world and the most prestigious.
Of course.
It says, question everything.
Yes.
And that is, that's what science is. It's recognizing that convention is often wrong, and that the people who make advances on science, almost 100% of the times, are people who are willing to challenge orthodoxies and advance heterodoxies and talk about new ways of thinking. And that, these very ossified bureaucracies that now make up the so-called medical establishment are fortified against that kind of change.
That's absolutely right. And I mean, to put a slightly different spin on it, a lot of the times the people who are discovering things interesting and new are a little weird, right? I mean, American society for a very long time had a willingness to accept unconventional, slightly odd people inside some of these industries, inside some of these bureaucracies. I mean, I've been reading a lot in the past couple of weeks about von Neumann, the Hungarian scientist who came to the United States and was very important in the Manhattan Project. And what I keep on finding myself thinking, I mean, this is a brilliant guy. This is, one of the, I think it was Edward Teller or Oppenheimer or another, the Manhattan Institute people said about von Neumann that von Neumann was talking to his 3-year-old, and then he realized that he used the same skill von Neumann did when talking to a 3-year-old as he did with everybody else, because he was so far above everybody else in terms of brilliance. But then you read about this guy, and I think to myself, half of the shit that this guy said would have gotten him canceled, or would have gotten his career ruined, or would have had his life ruined. There is no way that this country is going to advance unless we're comfortable with people who are willing to challenge orthodoxy. And that's what I think got so broken, not just about the scientific bureaucracy, but probably it was worse in the scientific area than in most other places, is we've got to be comfortable challenging some of these old orthodoxies.